People are afraid by how they'll be perceived by people they do know and people they don't. They're also afraid when they start moving into medical transition of various kinds. They want it. At the same time, they're afraid of what it's going to do to their bodies. And they're afraid of bureaucracy and processes and forms and those sorts of things. A fear of the medical establishment. And I certainly get that. There's good reason for that. You've got to be very careful in who you pick. Lots of fears in lots of directions.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. I had a nurse come in and say, "You think you're two people?" Because I was using them, they pronouns back then. And I said, "What? No. Clearly I'm one person. What do you want about?" Later, the doctor came in and he was like, "So you've had genital surgery?" And that's what he led with. He just walked in and didn't say my name. He didn't say his name or introduce himself as a doctor. Just, "So you've had genital surgery." He refused to treat me.
Why is the group a secret group?
Privacy. The most active people are the new people who are coming out. And they can't be part of something if they can't do so in secret. Because you know what it's like. It's a social problem.
I used to almost obsessively check the page, just to reassure myself that I wasn't the only weirdo and that people like me were doing similar things. I was so anxious about everything. It was a safe place, yeah. It was a refuge for information, sanity, consideration, kindness, all of that stuff. A place I could be reasonably sure that people weren't going to be awful because I was trans, which is not guaranteed anywhere else.
There's a massive percentage of people who have been suicidal or are actively suicidal. You don't want to be the person who could have easily given advice and made someone not feel alone, to know that you'll never have contact with that member again. There is a sense of urgency, at least for me.
It's been noted that Virtually Trans is a predominantly white space.
It is. We have a few brother boys in there, but they're not particularly open about that in there.
What do you think fuels this?
Assumptions that are made by people about shared culture of white Australian culture that isn't ever challenged, certainly not by white people. And I think that would make it a really alienating place for anyone to speak up and say, that's not everyone's experience.
There's an understanding that because the lack of information on medical transition elsewhere, this is a place where that information is. So that fosters that sharing. Everyone's very open, very willing to give information, and information relevant to Melbourne, so it makes it very easy to ask it from other people.
Being in this group, chatting online, made it easier to know that not only my family, but everyone else could see gender differently. As with everywhere, you come in, and there's so many different types and ways of being a man, or just being a person. And that was expressed openly and freely in this space. And being there, seeing that, made it easier to believe that if we could do it here, then eventually, I don't know how much time, but eventually it could spread to everywhere else.